Part two of May, Thursday, May 20. May 29, part 2, Go Manitoba, Go, special 163 for Manitoba, special event today. I found some pizza that has some ants on it, so I had to blow 3 times on the ants, but I guess it was there since this morning. I smelled it and it was left open. Somebody had left. Please don't leave food. If it's food, you leave it for somebody else or you make the donation, but it's important, okay, not to put it in the trash or in the garbage, you know. So gonna be eating because, you know, times are tough, and I was actually thinking of spending some money, but now I gotta say my gratitude, grateful, thankful, rent paid, electricity bills paid, and that's why we gotta go, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get on that meditative state, you know, here, because food security. I'm gonna commence with the meditation. That's kind of cool there. Meditation, the car, meditating, of course, on the fact of the geopolitics of the slice of pizza before I discuss the DRT, debt refusion theory, because that's where I left it off. Since it's dirty, I'm not going to recycle it. Right? Those have to be recycled. Want some more food? So, food security is a major part of geopolitics, right? Because the price of the food has increased. So this food, as to my being financially stressed, is so important because I have to spend less money because I eat a little bit of this food. So I have to spend less money on food now because of this, you know. Let's build 300 bigger, 11 times bigger than the Cybertruck or the Dragon Army PPP. Better some red dragons on it. For total SSD. So that's what we have, and that's what we're gonna go doing. And somebody wearing that red. But importance of this slice of pizza, that's what we gotta get doing with that. And he's wearing red, my favorite color, maybe potential Dragon Army. So I got a big smile and I got a big backpack on, so you know, I'm happy choice. Now I got this slice of pizza, actually 2 slices, and I got 2 more in the backpack. It was 1 full pizza. So there were 3 boxes, but 1 were eaten. The other one was eaten. The other one was, the ants were all over it, so I discarded it. And one I had to blow because there was ants, but said I'm not gonna waste it. So I ate half because I was hungry a bit. So it's gonna be boosting my Dragon versus Trump special Dragon versus Trump event, you know. It's not that fresh, but I smelled it, looked at it with my eyes very closely to see if it doesn't have bugs or whatever else, you know. You can put all sorts of things on it, but it was just somebody, I guess, who ate fast, was in a hurry. Maybe they went to Manitoba, give some hands. I would love to be there. I would love to be in Manitoba to give some hands now, and with the Dragon Army we're gonna be for that SSD and for that emergency response. So So grateful, thankful. Ask Pierre, the Stanley philosopher. That must be, I don't know if that's correct. Because I left it was 6:63. I guess it's close to 9. Yeah, close. It's 8:30, 8:25, 8:27. Maybe. Maybe. Not sure, you know. Not sure. I think I saw a lion. Hey, excuse-moi, t'as un lion sur toi, il va te manger. Non, mais il est beau, c'est pour ça que je voulais te déranger, parce que moi aussi j'en ai un. Ah oui? Ouais. Ah oui, tu le vois bien, puis j'ai Canada en haut, là. OK. Canada avec le lion. Oh, je voulais pas te déranger, mon cher. C'est juste que j'aime bien ça. T'as-tu déjà vu en safari? T'es-tu déjà allé les voir?
Non. C'est juste, c'est mon signe de zodiaque.
Ah, t'es boss.
Et j'aime tout ce qui est félin, là.
Ouais.
Donc,
Tom Brady.
C'est sûr que quand je vais dans un zoo, c'est tout ce qui est Afrique, je préfère l'Afrique.
C'est bien Tom Brady et lion comme toi.
Ah oui?
Ah ouais, Tom Brady, le best des best, là.
Ah ouais.
Ciao, ciao. Son zodiac, so that was his zodiac sign, and gotta get doing with that, and gotta go for the public sanitation. I admire these workers, man. Give them a little bit of rock and roll with that, and they gotta go. You know, somebody gotta send them some love, man. It's not all about Wall Street, you know. Wall Street, man. They gotta go doing on the go, man. So it's something which we gotta be doing, man, for them. For the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and those citizens there picking up the garbage, man, the collection, you know. It's something which we got to do, and it's the construction workers who build the buildings, you know. So building that is the construction workers which we got to do, and we got to get it on the appellation, you know. It's something which we got to be mindful of here in the North American Collective. You know, we got a lot of arbeit work, and that's what we got to do, you know, for the love and for all those who get it on the love, man. Gotta give it on the new, and that's all we gotta love, man. See it now and see what's happening there, you know. Got some work and gotta stay out of their way, you know. Get some locals, some work, arbeit, and I'm working now for Dragon versus Trump, you know. Since 2018, I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border, you know, to impose, because he did a mistake to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. That was the mistake he did, to impose tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Tariffs, 2018, that was the mistake. Geopolitically, Granddaddy Trump, nothing personal against Granddaddy Trump, because I'm a Democratic Republican Democrat, you know. You get that 50, just like I am androgynous, pansexual, but I am for the people, you know, for the people, and we got to put something for the people also to get it on the go, and get it for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, and all those going up those cranes, construction workers. Got to admire, and let's build together the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border that way. The North American Imperial Coliseum, that's my will to build it 11 times. Then the hardball ball, I got to watch him like a hog there. Watch the car, buddy. Watch the car, man. Watch the car. Ain't nobody getting hit by a car on my watch, man. Not on my watch, buddy. Ain't nobody getting hit by a car on my watch. Like a hawk. So I kind of like the architecture there, you know. See? I don't know exactly what it is, but the architecture, we have tremendous architecture style here, you know. Tremendous architectural styles here, and that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta go, you know, for the architecture. We have great architecture in Montreal. Old and new, all port. Greatest city on the planet. Montreal. Some learn some French. Belle province. See, we got that bilingual. No. And I'm a Quebecer, Canadian, North American, and I was born in the United States 3 times, twice as a woman, once as a once as a woman, twice as a man. When I was born as a man twice, I served in the United States Armed Forces 2 times in the same army, 2 different wars, 156 years apart were the wars, and loving me some of this pink, P-I-N-K art. And I'm an artist as well, but mostly rock and roll, dancing. Dancing is my favorite sport, and mostly is my rock and roll. Gotta go doing with that, and gotta go doing on the go, and that's what we gotta go do it for the love of this, and XYZ, and the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, construction workers. I'm a big fan. Help build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, and put credit on the kisses, and thickers and massages to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. I will to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple. The Goddess Temple, that's what I will to build, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, you know. Something which we gotta be. So you got nice architecture style there, and that is something what it is, you know. It's Montreal for you. I kinda like it. It's a nice architecture style here. It's kind of grandiose, kind of resembles the other one as well. I'm not sure if maybe in the 1890s maybe. I couldn't say exactly when it was built or when or who, but you know, it's kind of cool. The architectural style design and kind of the arch there with the pylons and how it is kind of caramel in it. It's nice. So we have a lot of different architecture which you can enjoy, and I'm always of course meditating on the architectural styles and designs, and of course behind the architecture, then after the architecture design, you get the workers. So that's why it's a partnership. But this one also, see, in Montreal we got really nice, it kind of is a mix between the old and the new in a ways, you know, because Montreal is not that new. Montreal is actually one of the first cities was founded. It was founded as Ville-Marie, and then it became Montreal. We don't know the name, how come it's Montreal, but some believe that is due to the mountain, Mount Royal. And of course the ascension on the mountain was 1504. So I don't know, I like it. It's kind of a nice design how it's built. So we have a variety of richness, architectural styles and design, which we got to complement, and of course those who are on the complementary things, and we got to get it on the love side of things, and that's how we got to get it on the love, you know. For the butchers, bakers, nurses, construction workers, we got to get it on the do, and that's how we got to get it on the left and on the right, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we're gonna go doing, you know, to get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the love, you know, side of things, and you got those construction workers need to be safe, you know, and you gotta get doing with that, and to get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get doing on the XYZ, you know, to get it on the love side of things, and anyways, so now I'm going to discuss the DRT, super important, but before I do, of course, you know that I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist who's on the concordium side of things, you know, which of course we have the concordium on the side of the world, how we are, and of course the fact is that geopolitically, Romanesque revival and Gothic revival elements, certain elements in 1940s, and yeah, information here, you got more information if you want to know. The architecture was built in the 1800s, so yeah, all the new and all, you know, so that's what we have, and that's what I am, you know, being I've lived with Asperger's, having Aspies, I'm a bit weird with certain things, elements of societal. As you know from my past videos, I do discuss, and I've been diagnosed for years, but I didn't want to accept the label, kind of like the stigma of it. But finally I did, and about 3.5 years ago. But I said, yeah, I have Asperger's, I'm neurodivergent. The brain, Aspie brains, we have these mutations, which happen. They're not, of course, there's not big mutations, but those mutations account for certain characteristics and weird and odd, strange behavior from others' perspective. The neurotypicals, which constitute 99.56% compared to us, the 0.44%. 0.44%, It's 0.44% is not a lot. So I'm part of this tiny, small minority fraction of a population which looks at the world differently. And of course, I have my special interests. As Aspies, we have these special focused interests where once we are involved in either studying or doing or whatever the special interest is, our involvement with it at levels of education or practice. And mine is geopolitics 24/7, and I am an independent geopolitical theorist, clandestine theorist. And it is geopolitics, and that's what it is. And it's of course rock and roll, and this part of the sports and fitness and dancing. And I've made my workout training program system, which is designed, created to go hand in hand with the workout program, which I created back in 2019. And of course, I have predicted an international conflagration, and I predicted that international conflagration back in 2019, November 2019. November 2019, I predicted that international conflagration back in October 2019. I have proof of work, I have proof of what I'm saying. I predicted that due to several elements, including the fact that many nation states, civilization, or regions have not fully resolved their conflicts dating from the 20th century, mainly from the Cold War era, which dates 1947 to 1991. So it's about 44 years, of course, more than 40 years, 44 years and 9 months, 44 years and 9 months, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we have to get it on the appellation, And so we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get a little bit of that rock and roll, and gotta get doing, So that's what it is, and so we gotta get doing on the practicing the implementation of my Trinity theories, especially the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, of course, for the creation of the UE. So that's what it is with that, and that's how we have to know, and certain things which we have to be mindful and understanding sometimes of. The levels of analysis can be complex, intellectual and philosophical, but to break it down simply is that due, of course, to these facts. Verite says truth in English. Transliteration in English. The transliteration in English is, of course, truth. Of course, you got several levels, but that was the analysis. The analysis on a daily basis is, of course, something which I do with intensity, hyper focus, and in-depth analysis. However, back in October 2019, the premise was that humanity is going to be again set on a course towards an international conflagration of World War III. Just going to go hydrate a bit. And so I created this workout training program system to go consequently with such a scenario as the aforementioned. As I said, you got some birds there. Gotta get that bird chirping up, and that's how we're gonna get doing. That birds is gonna be on the chirp side of things, and that's how we're gonna get doing here. Smelling some of that good. Smell some good flowers as I go, you know it. Gotta give it. Let's go. Thank you to build this. I'm gonna be able to hydrate HYDRAT. Usually I wait a few seconds, to clear those pipes, get those pipes cleared a bit. So here at the downtown core area, Montreal, Hawk Island, HAWK. Let's go HYDRAT. That's how we're gonna do, We're gonna do on the go, and so we're gonna do on the settings, and what we're gonna do on that loving side of things, always mindful of the things which are happening in the world and of the things which we do, and that's how we gotta get doing on that drill, so something which we got, on that HYDRAD, sound out, ha, football, play that defense, the North American Collectif, gonna play on that D, gonna play on that defense, and we're gonna get that SSD, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and some things which we gotta be focusing about and doing is exercising regularly, which I strongly recommend, and it really has been my medicine and therapy of choice since 2017 when I crossed Canada coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. That event really got me out of being depressed and being suicidal. Before that date, I was depressed, I was suicidal, and being depressed and suicidal, I got out of being depressed by crossing Canada. That, of course, has made me change my whole life. The whole dynamics of my life was changed. The whole dynamics of my life was changed. So having changed all my life, crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, that's what it is with that, and that's what we gotta get doing, something which we gotta be on the mindfulness of things, we gotta get doing on that beautiful here, look at that, that's how we're gonna get doing on that things, man. Beautiful tulips, oh wow, look at this beautiful row, flaming orange tulips, I wanna ask you, I love that rock and roll. So one of my other special interests is rock and roll 24/7, geopolitics 24/7, sports and fitness 24/7, and that's my favorite skyscraper there. This one we see it often from the mountain, the pyramid, that is favorite skyscraper. And we got a rock and roll for the construction workers who build it on steel toes with the cranes up in the rosa. Oh yeah, gotta get it on the go, to get it on that XYZ and to get it on the do, man. Sometimes we gotta just So geopolitics is my special interest. We Aspies have special interest, and those special interests usually preoccupy our daily habits, routines. Oh, something happening in Montreal. Very something happening. I don't know what this is, but it's a Yai Matai. Not sure what it is. To be honest, I have no idea what this is about, but probably something cool. Looks cool. Yatai Matai. First time maybe, I don't know. Somebody must know what it is, and let's go check a little bit of that statue there. Check a little bit of that statue. That is something which we have to be on the mind. And what is you typing there? Adrian Hanna Dragon, keep my name out of your mouth if it's not for blessing. Pledge your legions, Dragon Army, let's go Dragon Army. I need IT workers online everywhere, coast to coast, ocean to ocean for the 63. Kisses, hugs, stickers for the 63, and that's how we got, and that's how we do, and so we gotta get it on the rock and roll, something which we gotta be on the mindful of things, and we gotta get it on the go, man. Here we go. Gonna through the plateau there, and that's the plateaus, man, Here we are. Gonna get that graduation soon. The graduates. I guess I graduated from the University of the Mountain, and geopolitics, I consider myself a great, and that's really my kingdom, my realm, my domain, It's just like a fish in its water, just like a fish in water. So basically it's geopolitics 24/7, even though I meditation. And again, I have predicted what's happening now in a general manner. Back in 2019, I predicted what's happening now in 2019 in October, November. I predicted what's happening now in October, November 2019. And ever since then, I've been in an international conflagration, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get doing on the do, and that's how we gotta get doing on the love side of things, and we gotta get on that meditation, and gotta always think about what's to come in terms of geopolitics, because it always fluctuates, and now we're in a dangerous, more volatile world, of course, and I predicted, I'm just gonna go road to road. So basically I predicted what's happening now in 2018-19 in a general manner. I really find this beautiful here, how it's done with the colors. So in a general manner, not in an overall manner, I predicted an international conflagration, and of course I created a workout training program system to go hand in hand with a World War III scenario. So that's what I created, and that's of course what I do, and that's of course how I rock and roll it here on these beautiful colors. So in 2018, October, November, I predicted an international conflagration, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on the side of things with the loving and those butchers and those bakers and all those of course involved in the production, distribution of food, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, you know. So it's something which we gotta get doing with that, and something which we gotta get on that love. And you know, people are suffering, struggling, and I certainly been depressed, been suicidal, and suffered, struggled, was depressed, was suicidal, survived COVID. I'm wondering how I'm still living. I was attacked by surprise, hit my head down with dislocated right arm. Just went to the hospital with cracked back. My right arm was bloodied up, and got plenty of scars. I think they tried to take me out. I had to my own Sicilian pirate episode. So here I am, you know. I got fit on that thing, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, and gotta get doing on the go, you know. So something which we have to be thinking of as we go now, all the way east, west, north, south, and that's how we gotta get rock and rolling, man. Gotta get rock and rolling, and gotta do what I do, as I love to go to my second home, the mountain, my road. It's my way to pass now, you know. So something which we gotta get on that composition, and we gotta get on the propositions of the things that we have in life, you know, for the North American geopolitical perspective, for the collective here, for the 63, go Manitoba, go Manitoba, go special second part of the first video, because first video when I got that pizza, I got pressed on that pause and on that stop, so the first video got interrupted by just how I pressed. It's 8:44, just how I pressed the buttons on it, and that's how we gotta get consequently with it, and that's what I gotta get on that meditation. So 8:44, well, we're gonna go meditate on the XYZ, and gotta go get it there, and gotta go all the way to the top of the mountain, you know, something which we gotta be consequently involved in, and on the side of the things, which of course they are part of the daily routines and daily XYZ, and gotta go get it on the do's, man. Whoopsie. Always gotta get on the go, and that's how we gotta get doing on that, you know. Gotta watch it here. So we gotta get doing with that, and here we are. Gonna check out a little bit of that rock and roll here. Actually, I changed my mind. I was gonna go up because I had put some papers, you know. I had put some papers. But I don't think they're still on for my programs. I think with this money, I'm gonna take $5 or 10 and make some more printings. I'm just gonna, they're not open anyways. Yeah, I don't think they're even open. It's too early. I came too early anyways. For once I come too early, I guess. But something which we gotta be doing, so I came too early. That's what it is, man, and that's how we're gonna go doing with that. And that's how we gotta get doing on that, you know. Yeah. So we gotta get doing on the go, and that's how we gotta get on that loving side of things, and we always gotta go be on the positive note. So now I'm gonna discuss on the DRT, for me at least, because, you know, having survived so much and having been through so much, having lived with the scars and whatever the case may be, and that's what it is with that. I'm gonna live with the scars, and that it is, and that's something which we gotta do, and that's what it is, and So we gotta get doing with that, and gonna get doing now, you know. So the DRT, gonna discuss the DRT, the debt refusion theory. Super important that I discuss the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. For the creation of the UE. For the creation of the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit. That's what I'm gonna be discussing, and that's what it is, you know. That's what it is. The DRT. Because it's the solution. There's no other solution to where we are now financially. There's no other solution but the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE. For the creation of the UE. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, why do I make that statement? Is due, of course, to the fact of how much interest we paid. How much interest we paid on the public debt. Last year and the years before during COVID, it has augmented, that means increased by so much. The increase, the augmentation of it has been so much, you know. That's what it is with that, and that's where we gotta go, and that's what it is, and that's what it is, so that's what it is with that, and so we gotta go doing with that, and so we gotta get on that appellation, and we gotta get doing now, and we gotta get on the love side of things and implement the DRT. The debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE is the solution, or something which resembles my DRT theory, debt refusion theory. Why do I make that statement? Of course, due to the fact that we now pay. We pay so much interest on the public debt. That is really a lot of interest which we paid on the public debt. Really a lot of interest which we pay on the public debt. Really a lot of interest. That's what we gotta get doing here for the graduates, man. Get for the graduates. Some rock and roll, man. Rock and roll for the graduates. Yeah, man. Graduated. For the graduates. Gotta sing some rock and roll, I guess. I graduated from the university or the streets and the libraries, you know. University of life, man. So cool, man. Good for them, you know. Next graduates, you know. That's good, man. Good for you, you know. I graduated from the University of Asperger's, you know. Aspie. It's been a hard road, to be honest, but here the paradox, I'm able to present the DRT, the debt refusion theory, the debt refusion theory for the creation of the UE, and that it is what it is with that, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get on the appellation, you know, and we gotta be mindful of that, and gotta be on the go with that, and of course the DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the DRT has to be integrated and implemented as soon as possible, because we are on a verge of a public financial collapse. Public financial collapse, and much of the private system situation is in a parallel manner, stressed, overstressed, and we are debt burdened like never before. The credit cards which we have. Hey, look at that beautiful white flowers there. Beautiful white flowers. Beautiful white flowers, beautiful white flowers, and that's what we're gonna go doing, and it's those beautiful white flowers, man, you know, which we have. So the debt burden due to the credit cards, to the credit cards, there's more debt than ever. Record-breaking credit cards debt, record-breaking credit card debt, record-breaking credit card debt, you know. Look at that movable machine. I wonder where it was built. Kind of cute. Where it's built. Cute a lot. Lots of cuteness there. So where we're gonna go is we're gonna go by the stairs. Actually, we're gonna go by the side. So by the lions on the mountain. And we're gonna discuss the DRT, do it in a little bit of French, and then on the mountain and to the top we're gonna do cadence, I guess. Cadence style mode and rock and roll and XYZ and principium and principles and loving and implementation of the DRT, debt refusion theory, you know. DRT, which includes the monetary integration theory, the monetary integration theory, the monetary integration theory, of course, which is the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. Here's the mountain. That's how we gotta get going with that. And the debt refusion theory. I'm gonna get a little bit of that going to my single home, and that's how we gotta go drill it. And quite nice architecture there. Nice architecture style. Let's build on the go. So we're gonna go doing, man. I love to see people working out and training, exercising, and here we are, you know. Gonna go all the way to the top, to the mountain, roundabout by the mountains. Here we are. Gotta get XYZ and get some beautiful, wow, it's a beautiful yellow. Oh, that's beautiful yellow, and that's how you wanna go, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get that rock and roll, man, you know, for the XYZ, and we gotta get it on the doers and the bakers and the butchers, and you know, all that for the Hydro-Quebec workers. Hydro-Quebec, go Hydro-Quebec, go. Gotta give some salutation. Thanks. Gonna build more dams, and whenever I see, of course, the Hydro-Quebec workers, always gotta meditate, of course, on what's happening across the world, and of course those building of those dams, we gotta get it on the do, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. Something which we gotta do on that appellation, and always gotta build more dams here. Well, a lot of things have to be put in. It's okay, no worries. Said sorry because he bumped into me, but it's okay. It's a restricted area space, and that's what we gotta get doing. Gotta sing some rock and roll for the graduates here, but I gotta get some of those rock and roll as they go for the graduates of the McGill 2025. Hey, yeah, man. I guess some graduates. Oh, that's pretty cool. Opening door ID failed. Oh no, I'm getting too close to that. I was just curious. Please look at this thing. That's really cool. That's what Dragonomy needs to be, public-private partnership, Dragonomy. The eye of Ra, Air Force, Thoth, and we got to get it on the implementation of every implementation to get it all the doing like that, and got to get it for the go, man. Graduates. And for the graduates, man. Gotta sing for the graduates. Yeah. Good for you, man. Congrats. Good for you. Happy for them, man, I guess. I'm happy because I'm extra happy because I found that pizza, you know. So imagine a little bit of joy here and there for me. Gotta give them a little bit of joy, you know. And I see a bird there. I see some red. We need to build stadiums like this and get it all on the dragon, you know. Get it all on the dragon. Red and black and some green and the dancing goddess army. See those flags? That's why I want to see Dragon Army flags across the 63. Pledge your allegiance to our family across the 63. It's time for the DRT across the 50 states 3 provinces, 10 territories, 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories, 50 states, 3 provinces, 10 territories, to get it on the go and get it on the do, and that's how we gotta get doing, man. So the graduates, a little bit of graduation, you know? It's always good, man. See people graduating. Gotta get it on the do, and I want to see if they smell. Do they smell this thing? Yeah. It smells a bit like rice. Rice, type of like grain type of smell. It's kind of, they're really beautiful if you think. They have a little bit of yellow in it, and a little bit of that yellow in the flowers, and floralis yellowishes and isis, but maybe whatever that case may be. I don't really know the names of the flowers, but I kind of like them how they are here. Somebody must know the name, I have no idea. Gotta be careful here when I cross the street, you know. Gotta turn left and right, you know. Gotta get that XYZ, and gotta get that for the graduates, man. Look at those red flags. Gonna get that DRT, you know, with the backpack, and I wonder what they graduated in, you know. But probably if some of them get that politics coming to. I'm a doctor, independent doctor of geopolitics. I predicted what's happening now, and got that DRT, debt refusion tree, is gonna be time to now for me to discuss it fully before I regress and neglect to do so. So the debt refusion theory, DRT, debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange, and it is something which we gotta be doing, and we gotta be on that love set of things here as we go, and across the street here prudently. And for the graduates, man, do some of that good stuff. Good for you. Whoever graduated in geopolitics or politics or international relations, and that's always a sphere which of course we gotta be meditating on, and gotta get it now, man. Good for you. So the DRT, debt refusion theory, stands for D for debt, R refusion, T theory, and is the only solution which we have now because of the record-breaking interest we pay on the debt, because of course of the cost of living as well, having grown since February 2020 in parallel and inconsequential, and of course due to the other factors such as the credit card maxed out. People are maxed out. Not all, not ALL, but where the middle class at. I know a lot of them are just posting on Instagram, you're here and there and living the life, but borrowed time, man. Borrowed time. Body's over, maybe. Stock market crash, global financial collapse, public-private financial collapse. Maybe starts today, tomorrow, in the coming days, weeks, months ahead. There's a possibility and probability for it to do so. Somebody got to sing some of that rock and roll. For the boys and girls in blue. Ain't nobody perfect, that still includes me and you. Somebody got to sing that rock and roll for the boys and girls in blue. In a parallel life, past life, I served in the RCMP before it was known as the RCMP. I served in the police, in the armies, as a priestess, also farmer, which has many past lives, many incarnations, and you get that philosopher, artist, athlete, and geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist now. And I also sing that rock and roll for those who do their criminal rehabilitation, you know. Criminal rehabilitation, man. To do their criminal rehabilitation, I gotta sing for them as well. You know, as I sing for the 5050, that rock and roll, ain't nobody perfect, that includes that me and you. I gotta sing, you know, for those who do their second chance, take their second, third chances, and do their criminal rehabilitation. And I guess it's graduation time. So wow, McGill, reputable institution. I don't know about the finances. I wonder the finances of all your public universities and public-private partnership. And I graduated the University of the Dragon and that workout training program system. You got to be able to do it, if you will, to be a dragon. If you will, to be a dragon, you got to do that workout. You got to do that training system if you're willing and if you will to be a dragon. Nobody's born a dragon is the motto of the Dragon Army. Nobody's born a dragon is the motto of the Dragon Army. Please don't pollute. Put that into the recycling. I don't mind y'all drinking. I don't drink much, me. But please, don't pollute. I wonder how much it costs, spicy rum nowadays. I don't drink much. I still have cannabis. I bought more than 4 years ago. I still have, I think, two joints and a half from more than 4 years ago. But please, this has to be recycled. Recycled. Captain Morgan rum, Ontario, Toronto, Ontario. Is it Canadian? Quality. I don't know. I have to disinfect my hands now, but please don't leave. Just put it in the recycling. It goes into recycling, and super important to put it in the recycling. See, we got it on that put down, put up, and of course, please, the DRT has to be implemented. We're gonna now discuss it. D for debt, R for refusion, T for theory. So, due to the fact that we are overburdened in debt, we have to implement the DRT, the debt refusion theory, the DRT, the debt refusion theory, for the creation of the UE, the universal exchange in it. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt, all the public and the private debt. So my debt, your debt, our debt. Meaning to say that all the public and the private debt, including my $10,000, my 10,000, your 10,000, all the debt, public and private. So I have $10,000 in debt to the RBC. So I don't have credit cards, but I have a credit bank credit line. It's called a credit line. Credit line, 10,000, pay 10,000. On that 10,000, pay 10%, 0.44 interest. Just gonna go about it by the side there. So basically what it is, and 10.44% is a credit line to LOV. So we're gonna have to take all the public-private debt, and this has to be applied by national, because of course Canada and the United States it's in a similar precarious financial situation. Canada and the United States are in a similar precarious situation, on the verge of a public-private collapse, and that's what it is with that. And so we gotta go, so something which we gotta do, The DRT, debt refusion theory, integrates monetary integration theory. Monetary integration theory is of course the financial theory which was implemented in the European Union. So that's what it is, and that's how we go, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, So we're gonna have to take all the public and the private debt, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, all the public and the private debt, my 10,000 included, your 10,000 included, all the public and the private debt. We're gonna have to integrate it and complementary all the public and the private debt. My 10,000, your 10,000, coast to coast and ocean to ocean. All the public and the private debt. Add it all up, convert the Canadian public-private debt into US dollars. I see that hope, somebody holding hands, and that gives me some hope. I think the black, dark storm clouds are coming, but that gives me some hope, and I see people holding hands and with some love, somebody making love in the free world. Otherwise, let the nukes pop off, And that's what we're gonna get doing. So the DRT, we're gonna be able to build those 44 tunnels by implementing my DRT, and of course, implementing my DRT, debt refusion theory. We're also gonna be able to build the Golden Hawk Dome. Put Canada in it for the 63, put that HAWK in it, and this is the DRT on the table. Paradoxically, is the solution, or something very similar. It has to be the solution, because we are on the verge of a public and private financial collapse. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, including my 10,000. So my 10,000, your 10,000, our 10,000, all my debt, your debt, our debt, all the public, private debt, added coast to coast, ocean to ocean. We're gonna convert it into US dollars. We're gonna add it with the United States public-private debt. So all that put together, all that added up, that money is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. for a new central bank, So we're gonna get doing. So that is gonna be all the public and private debt. That is gonna be the initial money supply for a new central bank. Here's the lines, you know. Here we're gonna go via the lines. So get all the public-private debt, all that money, gonna convert it into US dollars, and we're gonna add it with the United States dollars. All that added up. Oh, there's somebody who dances here. Oh, that's pretty cool how it's done. Gotta get a little bit of that dance. I love dancing, and to wear that red, you know. Dancing is my favorite sport, and that's the downtown, and here we got a little bit of that, and we gotta get it on that. I guess for the free, the brave, the loving, for the 63, for the free, the brave, the loving, for the 63, for the free, the brave, the loving, for the 63. Don't mind y'all drinking, but please recycle. Recycling. Gotta get that recycling in it, and gotta get it for the recycling, man. Here we are by the Lions. We enter the second home, my second home, not just mine because it's public, and we got Lions east, west, north, south there. I guess you can put them that, and east, west, north, south, if you will. The Lions, Lion. We are dragons, not demons. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt. We're gonna convert all the public-private debt of Canada into US dollars. That money we're gonna add it with the US dollar, and that money is gonna be the initial foundation for a new central bank. Whatever we call the central bank is going to issue a new currency called the UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, the universal exchange unit. The U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE, U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot UE. The UE, the universal exchange unit. So we're going to create a UE. The UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The universal exchange unit is gonna have the value of the US dollar. It's gonna have the value of the US dollar. The UE. U dot universal, E dot exchange, U dot unit. The UE. This currency with this, the implementation of my DRT theory, we're gonna be able to rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the aqueducts, rebuild the bridges, do lots of good. We're gonna be able, of course, to rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild the aqueducts, and build the 44. Build the 44, construct the 44 tunnels, in case of a thermonuclear war. Build those 44 across the 63, and that's what we're gonna do. Hear that bird? Has a nice rhythm, sings well. Chirps sings. Kind of nice, very nice. Has a chirping sound to it, so it's really beautiful how he sings. I find it has like a nice pulse, you know. Pulsation. So that's how we gotta get doing, and that's how we're gonna go here, go up and down. You can explore, you know, paths and different paths to go. You know, you go left, you go right, you go round about here, and you go top the mountain, and you exercise, and fitness journey starts today. That's what I say. My fitness journey starts today. Yours start today. Ours start today. So gonna take all the public and the private debt, we're gonna create it, convert it to US dollars, and all the public and the private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars, and that's what we're gonna be doing with that, and so we're gonna get doing with that. That's how we gotta get on that rock and roll, and gotta get on the XYZ and XY left and XY do and XYB, and loving and singing and being and doing and implementing, you know, the DRT, the debt fusion theory. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the many things of good, have a good public and private partnership manner, in a public-private partnership manner. Take all the public-private debt, convert it to US dollars, add it with the US because it has to be binational, because the Canadian and the United States American financial situation is of course in a very similar precarious situation, public and the private. Paradox, of course, during COVID, and now with the increasing cost of living, record-breaking food bank use, record-breaking food bank use, record-breaking food bank use, and that's what we gotta do, and that's what we gotta be on the loving side of things, and that's why the DRT comes in handy. So we're gonna take all the public and the private debt, my debt, your debt, convert it into US dollars. All the debt, public and private debt, all the debt, public and private debt, we're gonna convert it into US dollars. All that debt, convert it into US dollars, of course, add it with the US. Yeah, I know the crow's nose, my omens. Sometimes I'm a queen and king of spades. Love that BDSM switch. Love that BDSM switch. Love that BDSM switch. But as a matter of fact, if I get married, probably I'm androgynous pansexual, but probably gonna be a cuckold marriage. Gonna be a cuckold marriage. Probably a cuckold marriage. Who's gonna want to marry me, anyways? I'm a mess. I'm a mess. Aspie mess. It's not easy with Aspies. It's really, but we offer things, you know. That's how we show compassion, by action rather than just verbal consolation. Rather than just verbal consolation. Than just verbal consolation, you know. This verbal consolation is this Asperger's is, we're different, you know. Our brains are different, so our compassion and empathy are shown by offering something, if we can, acts of goodness and kindness, and rather than verbal consolation. So that is basically the distinction between how we function, how we operate, how we show our compassion. We, the 0.44%, not even 1%, not even half a percentage of the population have Asperger's because of these mutations. But paradoxically, due to this curse, it's kind of become a little bit of a blessing now. But of course, the DRT has to be implemented. We're on the verge of a public financial collapse. Public financial collapse. So we're going to have to take all the public-private debt, and we're going to have to create the UE, the Universal Exchanger. With that money, we're going to rebuild the infrastructure, build those 44 tunnels, and of course, we're going to mass finance tourism, mass finance building more hydroelectric dams, and gonna get into that golden hawk HAWK, golden hawk dome. And of course, in parallel to that, we're of course gonna do other great things, and of course we're gonna lay out, and we're gonna be mass financing tourism as well, complementary to fitness. We're gonna finance tourism, and we're gonna finance lots of great things, and we're gonna finance lots of good things, and we're gonna finance lots of doings, you know, lots of loving, lots of physical activity. And we're gonna build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum, to act and to function for, of course, and as the Center for Sports in Perpetuity for the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. That's what we're gonna be doing, and so we're gonna be rock and rolling, you know. So that's something which we got here, the plantation zones, which have to be respected, and we have to be doing that, and we have to be implementing the XYZ appellations, and We have to get it for the North American Collective, and we have to get it for the left and the right, and the butchers and the bakers, and the nurses and the doctors, firefighters, train conductors, those daycare workers, changing some of those diapers. That's all we gotta do. That's how we gotta be in it. And for the North American Collective here, you know, the 63, that's the DRT solution. It is the solution. There's no way out of it. You know, there's just no way. This has been open. I guess the trail here is open now, or maybe not. Gonna go on the side. I think it's open, but probably. So we're gonna take all the public-private debt, Canada, convert it coast to coast, ocean to ocean, including my debt, and that's where we're gonna rock and roll. Create a new central bank, and of course we're gonna mass finance citizens' fitness, mass finance citizens to work out, mass finance citizens to train, mass finance citizens wellness activities, programs, and build more social housing and rehabilitate the criminal population to a certain extent, right? Via the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, to that protocol, the North American Criminal Rehabilitation Act, via undoing that protocol here as we are, you know, so that is just something which we have to do, and which we have to appellate, and which we have to do now, you know, for the DRT is the solution. Pledge your allegiance to our family, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and so we gotta get ASAP, because it's an emergency. We're on the possibility of a public and private financial collapse, and that's where we have to be. Public and private financial collapse. That is just something which we have to be doing. We're on the verge on the public, private, financial collapse, and that's what we have to be doing, and that's what we have to be on the road, and we have to look up, because the branches sometimes fall here, you know, so be careful. So we're gonna do building the 44 tunnels in case of a thermonuclear war, mass finance citizens fitness, mass finance working out, training, exercising, mass financing the Operation Northern Scorpio for the 63, for total S, total security, total S, total service, total defense, total SSD for security, service, and defense, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, the two complementary covenant uncooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, and of course, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, and the firefighters, and all those involved in the production, distribution of food, you know, across the collective of the 63. That's what we gotta get doing with that. So we gotta get on that appellation now. As I go on the mountain. Oh yeah, I am on the mountain, but you can see I'm still going up sometimes. I think last time it was very icy here, remember? If you check out past videos in the, I think it was December or January, maybe even February, where you see how I come and I slide, because it's icy, like ice patches, and I crossed this road, but it was during the winter, deep winter. It was quite an experience, you know. You see me there sliding left and right, and how I doing about it, and that's how I gotta drill it now. So here we are, you know, for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters, plumbers, electricians, train conductors, public workers, Dragon versus Trump, special edition, Dragon versus Trump, special edition, Dragon versus Trump. Have been him, and will challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the Canadian-US border ever since, and that's how we do, and that's how we get it. And happy, joyous when I see these yellows. I love yellow flowers, you already know. I love yellow flowers, and that's how I gotta get doing with that. And love me some beautiful yellow flowers, and it's my second home here, man. Hear those birds chirp. So happy, joyous, content here. And also the paradox of me presenting the DRT, which is the solution, you know, for the 63. So all the public-private debt, all the public and the private debt, That's what we're gonna be doing. All the public and the private debt, we're gonna be converting it into US dollars. And that's what we're gonna be doing with that. Gonna add it all up. And we're gonna, of course, create the UE, Mass Finance Citizens Fitness, Mass Finance building the 44 tunnels, building more Hydro-Quebec dams, implementing Operation Northern Scorpio for total security, total service, total defense, and via the, of course, the total mobile defense theory, total mobile defense theory, total mobile defense theory, the TM, total mobile defense theory, TM, total mobile defense theory, TMDT, total mobile defense theory, TMDT. And when we add an S to that 4-letter acronym, it's a system. That means that we put it into practice and implementation, just like my workout training program system, which I created back in 2019. And that's what it is. We're gonna get coast to coast, ocean to ocean, build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum to be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome. Before it used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz and the Louisiana Superdome, and it's gonna be a mega sports arena for sports in perpetuities for 24/7 sports, and that's what we're gonna get doing for 24/7 sports. 24/7 sports. Sport is in perpetuities. Gotta put some Dragon Army stickers. Dragon Army Dancing Goddess stickers. I love this one. This one's nice. You need some color there. Some scarlet, but kind of cool, I guess, how it is, you know. Gotta get that. This one's nice also. I like that one. Red being my favorite color. And this one, I don't know what that is. But I like this one, Québec Libre. I'm not a separatist. I'm Québécois, but I'm not a separatist. And so that's that rock and roll with that, and that's all we gotta get doing on the go, and for fans to do it on the go and get it on the do and get it on the love inside of things, and we gotta go get it for that, and we gotta get on the love side of things for the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the firefighters, the plumbers, artists. I like that one. That one's also nice. Some cool ones. This one I like, bees and love, and that's what we have here. And you know, needs some Dragon Army ones, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. Public workers, you know, for the North American Collective, we gotta get a little bit of public works, and we gotta get that doing, and we gotta do it bakers, and we gotta do it butchers, and we gotta do it lovers, and we gotta do it now, we gotta do it later, and sometimes now, you know, we gotta get it on the fitness journey to get it on the go. And here we got, you see Montreal East here. So this is Montreal East. You can see there the stadium. That's the stadium, Olympic Stadium there. And that's what we gotta get doing with that. And so we gotta get doing on the XYZ, and we gotta get doing, you know, for the lovers, the butchers, the bakers, the firefighters, all those involved in the production, distribution of food, and all those together now, you know, on the love side of things. And that's what we gotta get doing on the side of things, you know. Here we are in the love side of things, man. Gotta get another one there. So now we're gonna switch to that French, because we're in La Belle Province, and gotta get a little bit of that salutation for the crows. Or the crows, man. The crows. The crows on the go, man. Gotta get it now. It's gonna be nice embellishment of the city here. It's gonna be nice. Once this grows, that's gonna be, thank you, man. Public workers, eh? It's something which we gotta appreciate, gotta salute. I would definitely give a discount to the public workers if there's ever be on a rock concert, you know, to give a rock concert, and dancing, definitely give for the public workers, and for the public workers a little bit of that discount. And here we are, some more yellows, and we're gonna get it on the French because we're in La Belle Province. So hey, on est rendu sur la montagne, on monte en haut jusqu'en haut par le côté, par le bord, pour le faire sur la montagne, qu'on soit bien sûr ici, ensemble bien sûr pour le faire de la gauche et de la droite, dans le ciment, dans le béton et dans l'acier bien sûr, pour le faire de la gauche, de la droite. Et sur ces bas de cap d'acier aujourd'hui, je pense qu'il va mouiller, mais je suis bien content pour hier, encore une fois, mais c'est pour l'opportunité 150$ que j'ai fait, 30$ de l'heure, c'était un bon salaire, là. C'était un bon salaire. C'était un bon salaire, puis ça a été un bon salaire, puis c'est quelque chose que je dois dire, là, que juste, je dois vivre avec ça, là, fait que je vis avec ça, fait que c'est ça qui est ça. Je vis avec ça. Avec une bonne heure maintenant, parce que 150$, 30$ de l'heure, faut pas que je le déclare parce que j'ai fait moins que 200, puis c'est le seul argent que j'ai fait. Fait que je dois pas le déclarer là, au gouvernement parce que je dois payer mon électricité avec ça. Je dois donner 40$ pour les filtres d'eau à mon ami anonyme. Et puis bien sûr 10 parce que j'ai brisé sur le côté de... Bien sûr, j'ai fait un bris de... Tu sais, la poignée là, de la sécheuse. Je suis bien content d'avoir une sécheuse laveuse chez nous. Hein. Justement aujourd'hui, mais que je me retourne, mais je vais faire 2 sessions peut-être de lavage. Là. Fait que ça va être du lavage que je vais devoir faire, puis envoyer des courriels, puis continuer mes démarches avec pour l'opportunité d'emploi puis des affaires. Fait que, à cause de bien sûr que c'est une condition neurologique avec laquelle je vis moi-même. C'est une condition neurologique avec laquelle je vis qui s'appelle l'Asperger's, l'autisme non fonctionnel. Et c'est des belles petites fleurs ça. Rouges. Hey, regardez donc ça. Ça a même du jaune, comment j'aime bien, tu sais, le petit fleur jaune des petites fleurs de la flore et de la faune ici. C'est la montagne, bien sûr, qu'on essaie le plus possible de préserver. Hein. On essaie de préserver le plus possible ces fleurs qui se trouvent ici. Fait qu'en vous encourageant à faire de l'exercice physique, je vais pas rentrer trop dans un dialogue sur l'Asperger. Juste pour finir, c'est que les Aspi, nous, on fait partie d'une petite minorité de neurodivergents. Donc, le cerveau des Asperger, c'est associé à des mutations. Fait que ces mutations-là font que on voit le monde différemment. Fait que dans certaines choses, on a de la misère. Dans le social, dans l'interaction sociale, tu sais. Des fois, on peut être direct ou c'est pas parce qu'on veut offenser, mais on peut dire des choses d'une manière c'est pas tout à fait... ça peut être direct ou ça peut offenser, c'est pas par volonté, c'est que notre cerveau des fois, est différent, fait que, tu sais, c'est chose de comportement social ou des fois, tu sais, tendance de s'approcher trop proche des gens, là, tu sais, à distance, là, tu sais, l'espace personnel, on a tendance à briser l'espace personnel, tu sais, des gens, puis on peut être intense, concentré, super dedans, surtout que quand on travaille, on étudie les intérêts spéciaux donc on a. Et bien sûr, les intérêts spéciaux, moi-même, vous savez, c'est la géopolitique, 24/24, l'entraînement physique, 24/24, le rock'n'roll. Puis je suis un analyste et théoricien en géopolitique, un artiste, athlète et philosophe et un mystique. Tu sais, moi, je crois à des réincarnations. Je crois que je sais. Les fois que je viens sur la montagne, j'ai eu des révélations, là, plus que 7 ans. Fait que j'ai été né homme, j'étais né femme, homme, homme, femme, plusieurs fois dans les vies antérieures. Fait que maintenant, aujourd'hui, ça se balance parce que c'est 50-50. Ça se balance. Fait que ça peut le faire de cette balance. Que ce soit en égalité, je veux dire, tu sais, une balance égale pour le faire ici, tu sais, que je suis rendu à ma deuxième maison à Mont-Royal, puis je sentirais un peu les fleurs. Une senteur un peu comme le riz, un peu, je trouve. Bon, ça c'est quand même beau, ça c'est acceptable, là. C'est toléré, là, mais faisait un peu de rouge, là, sur la lettre rouge ici. Ça, je peux tolérer ça, là, mais sinon, faites pas des dégâts, là, faites pas des graffitis, là. Vous êtes capable de faire quelque chose de bon, oui, mais laissez les choses tranquilles ici sur la montagne chez nous, là, mais c'est sûr que vous devez avoir la permission, là, mais, tu sais, certains artistes, si vous êtes des vrais artistes en graffiti, je suis pour le soutien d'encouragement, puis bien sûr de mettre des places qui favorisent l'expression libre des artistes graffiti, mais il faut que ça soit des places désignées pour ça, là, tu sais, en ville, là, dans la métropole de Montréal, que ça soit des places désignées, là, comme ici c'est une place désignée pour que je fasse de l'entraînement, pour que je fasse fassiez tout ce que vous faites là, ici sur la montagne, tu sais. Vous pouvez chanter, vous pouvez manger, fêter, discuter, méditer, donner des bisous, des câlins, je vous encourage, hein, les câlins, les bisous, puis l'entraînement physique, la danse le plus possible, le plus possible, le plus possible. Fait que c'est ces choses-là qu'on doit faire, et c'est ces choses-là, bien sûr, que moi-même je dois faire dans cette concordance qu'on est rendu, bien sûr, aujourd'hui, moi-même. Je vais commencer avec la gratitude. La gratitude, j'ai payé mon loyer, payé ma facture d'électricité, j'ai du café, j'ai du thé. Bon. J'ai du café, j'ai du thé, fait que je vais rentrer dans la forêt ici. Je vais rentrer dans la forêt ici, mais c'est quelque chose, mais il faut que j'aille dans cette convergence pour avoir de cette manière, puis c'est ces choses-là ici, hein, que je vais voir comment je traverse aussi, hein, parce que des fois c'est des choses que j'ai à faire, hein, c'est toujours maintenant, aujourd'hui, demain, je dois vous parler, je peux finir avec l'Asperger's, là, notre cerveau, il y a des mutations, fait qu'on voit le monde différemment. Et dans certaines choses, on a de la misère, mais quand ça vient aux intérêts spéciaux, il faut qu'on soit encouragé, il faut qu'on y ait de l'encouragement, et il faut qu'on y ait de l'encouragement, il faut qu'on soit encouragé dans ces domaines dans lesquels on est quand même un bon en profondeur, là. Ça dépend c'est quoi, ça peut être les ordinateurs, la science informatique, la technologie d'information, puis ça peut être l'histoire, ça peut être des automobiles, tu sais, un Asperger's comme moi, si c'est les intérêts spéciaux, si c'est les automobiles, il va savoir tellement de choses sur l'histoire, le développement, les caractéristiques, les points techniques des automobiles, toutes ces choses-là, il va les savoir tellement en détail, là. Ça va être comme moi, c'est comme un génie, tu sais. Mais moi, c'est pas les automobiles, moi, c'est la géopolitique. Puis, je peux en parler pendant des heures, je suis ouvert. Vous devez être bien équipé si vous voulez avoir un dialogue dans le jeu politique, parce que c'est sûr, si vous rentrez dans mon domaine, mon royaume, puis moi, bien sûr, je dis que bien sûr, là, j'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. J'ai la preuve, j'ai la vidéo en ligne. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant en 2019. J'ai prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant. J'ai prévu qu'il y aura une conflagration internationale qui pourra tourner bien sûr nucléaire et qu'il y aura bien sûr des bombes et bien sûr de la bio. Moi, mais les bombes nucléaires, les armes nucléaires, j'ai mis 50-50 comme probabilité, mais les armes biologiques, j'avais mis 2/3. Fait que 66,6%. Fait que c'était ça la conclusion que je suis arrivé en 2019, en octobre. Fait que j'avais prévu qu'est-ce qui se passe maintenant avec les Russes. Les Ukrainiens, ben c'est pas exactement avec les Russes et les Ukrainiens, c'était plusieurs points de contention pour le faire dans cet endroit. Et bien sûr, dans cet endroit, bien sûr, pour être maintenant de discrétion, puis pour savoir, bien sûr, qu'on est rendu dans ce point de convergence pour avoir de la force et de l'intérieur, bien sûr, pour le faire dans le domaine du savoir de la géopolitique. C'est faut le dire, bien sûr, que premièrement, en toute place, et premièrement, avant tout, notre intérêt géopolitique en tant que Canadien, Québécois, Canadien, puis vice-versa pour les États-Unis, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de oui et non là-dessus, c'est oui, ça. Ça, c'est toujours constant, là, c'est constamment de même. Il n'y a pas de changement dans ça. C'est sûr qu'il faut avoir les meilleures relations avec les États-Unis. C'est un principe de constance, comme le symbole pi en mathématiques, tu sais, le 3.1415, c'est toujours la même chose. chose. Il n'y a pas de oui et non, il n'y a pas de oui et non. Je veux dire, il y a juste oui. Il n'y a pas de non, peut-être. Là, c'est ce que je veux dire maintenant. Fait que nous, là, les Québécois, Canadiens, Québécois en géopolitique, notre intérêt principal, là, je parle de la politique externe, pas en domestique, là, la politique domestique, externe, pas interne. Des politiques externes, nous, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations économiques, financières, militaires, avec les États-Unis. En première place, c'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis. C'est d'avoir les meilleures relations possibles avec les États-Unis. Il n'y a pas de oui et non et peut-être. C'est toujours ça. C'est toujours constamment oui là-dessus. Il n'y a pas de peut-être là-dedans. Là. On a 2 océans de côte à côte. Ça, je dis toujours mes principes, mes idéologies, c'est pour les 63, les 50 États, les 10 provinces, puis les 3 territoires. Les 3 territoires, 50 États, 10 provinces. 3 territoires, 50 États, 10 provinces, ça fait 63 pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord. Et maintenant que ça vient à ça, je vais pas en discuter plus de l'Asperger, je ne vais pas rentrer dans une thèse de la géopolitique, mais je vais bien sûr vous expliquer, parler de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette. C'est super important qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, qui est bien sûr la solution qui peut nous sortir d'où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui, dans la méthode et dans la sphère où qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui. C'est pour le point de vue des finances, il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD. L'implémentation de la TRD. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la théorie à refusion de la dette. Il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation de la TRD, de la théorie de la refusion de la dette. Il n'y a pas de solution autre que ma TRD. C'est un paradoxe, mais on est rendu à payer, bien sûr. L'année passée, on a payé 40... Oui, on a payé, durant la COVID, l'intérêt qu'on a payé sur la dette publique, ça a tellement augmenté de pourcentage qu'on va devoir couper. Déjà, il y a eu commencé à couper dans le budget, je vois, sur Passeport Canada, Immigration Canada, là, ils ont commencé à avoir des réductions des postes, dans les milliers de postes. Là. Fait que, comme je demande dans mon carnet, par banque, on va devoir couper quelque chose, là, parce que le principe mathématique là, qui s'applique pour un individu et pour le collectif ou macro sur la dette publique canadienne, c'est que l'individu va devoir couper dans le budget. Si un individu, là, l'intérêt, ça monte. Ça a monté dans la COVID, le coût de la vie, ça a plus de dettes, plus d'intérêts payés. Ça veut dire que si le salaire ne tient pas, il faut que ça coupe dans le budget. Vous comprenez? C'est le principe mathématique. Il va falloir couper quelque chose. Si vous arrêtez de fumer, peut-être boire, peut-être la cigarette, quoi que ce soit, il va falloir avoir une réduction. Là. Il va falloir avoir une réduction. Une réduction. Il va falloir avoir une certaine réduction dedans. Fait que cette réduction, ça va se faire d'une manière ou autre, quelconque, mais ça va devoir se faire à quelque part. La GRC, hein? Gendarmerie royale, les prisons, la sanitation publique, la santé, la défense nationale, à quelque part. Parce qu'on ne peut pas payer le même intérêt. Là. Un individu, comme ça applique le principe mathématique, là, du point de vue des finances, là, principe financier, mathématique financier, c'est l'individu va devoir couper quelque chose dans le budget. Comme l'individu va devoir couper, c'est exactement qu'est-ce qu'un individu va devoir couper, c'est exactement le même principe avec le collectif, soit le Canada au complet. Fait qu'on va devoir couper quelque chose, mais la question c'est qu'est-ce qu'on va couper, tu sais? Qu'est-ce qu'on va couper dans le budget? On va couper quelque chose, mais quoi? C'est ça le problème, tu sais. On va devoir couper quelque chose. Et bien sûr, qu'est-ce qu'on va couper? Mais ça va être X, Y ou Z. Fait que la TRD, théorie de la refusion de la dette, je vous l'explique. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette publique privée de côte à côte, incluant mon 10 000. On va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis. On va faire l'addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis parce que du point de vue économique financier, on est dans la même situation, les États-Unis puis le Canada quand même, dans une même situation du point de vue du privé et du public. Fait qu'il faut qu'on fasse l'implémentation, incluant les États-Unis avec nous pour les 63, parce qu'il faut que ça soit binational. Parce que dans ma TRD est inclus la théorie d'intégration monétaire, ce qui est la théorie qui a été implémentée en Europe. Fait que ça a été implémenté en Europe. Fait que tenez compte de ça. Fait que ça a été implémenté en Europe. Fait que ma théorie, ça contient celle-là. Fait qu'on va prendre toute la dette, on va faire la conversion dans la devise des États-Unis, on va faire de l'addition avec la dette publique des États-Unis. Cette addition-là, on va faire cette addition, et bien sûr, on va monter, on va mettre ça ensemble, et tout ça ensemble, ça va être un gros paquet d'argent. On va faire l'addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis, on va fusionner avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis, avec toute cette dette-là, notre dette publique privée ensemble, convertie dans la devise des États-Unis, rajoutée à la dette publique privée des États-Unis, ça va être la fondation pour la création d'une nouvelle banque centrale commune avec les États-Unis. On va faire la création d'une nouvelle monnaie, l'UI, U point unité, point échange, point universel, U point unité, point échange, point universel, le U point unité, point échange, point universel, l'unité d'échange universelle. Avec cet argent-là, on va rebâtir l'infrastructure du collectif, financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, bâtir, construire les 44 tunnels dans le cas d'une guerre thermonucléaire, bien sûr. Et bien sûr, on va pouvoir faire bien du bien. On va aussi, bien sûr, faire un autre bien commun. On va faire un autre bien commun. Et on va faire une autre situation de convergence. On va faire financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, financer les gens au tourisme, financer l'entraînement physique, financer l'entraînement physique, le conditionnement physique, et bien sûr faire beaucoup de bien, bien sûr, dans cette convergence qu'on est rendu aujourd'hui pour le faire. Puis c'est quelque chose qu'on doit faire, l'implémentation le plus tôt possible, parce que c'est possible qu'aujourd'hui ça commence un effondrement financier, là, finances publiques. Là. Fait que toute cette dette-là convertie, on va faire l'addition avec la dette publique privée des États-Unis. Ça va être l'argent initial. Pour ça, je fais appel à Bill Gates, mon frère Scorpion, pour se prendre un partenariat public-privé, bien sûr, pour le faire, une mobilisation. Puis on va devoir le faire. On est rendu au point là il y a trop de dettes, le surendettement, il n'y a pas de solution pour l'avenir. On est en veille de, c'est une crise, là, vraiment économique financière de point de vue. Là. Puis après ça, on va mettre un taux d'intérêt de 10%. Il ne pourra plus avoir plus que 10. Il pourra être en bas de 10, 3,33, 6,1, 9,3, 1,56, que ce soit 7,18, 4,18, etc. Mais ça ne sera pas plus que 10. Fait que ça serait 10 maximum sur la dette publique-privée. Fait qu'il n'y aura pas d'autres dettes. Il n'y a pas plus que 10% par principe. Ça va être le nouveau principe mathématiquement, là, financièrement. Là, ça va être le nouveau principe qui va s'appliquer, bien sûr, de ce point de qu'on est rendu avec la dette. Là. C'est ça qui est ça. Fait qu'on va devoir faire l'implémentation de la TRD, prendre toute la dette publique-privée. Cette dette-là aura la valeur du dollar des États-Unis. On va mettre ce taux d'intérêt de 10%. On va bâtir l'infrastructure de l'Amérique du Nord, du collectif nord-américain ensemble. On va bâtir, bien sûr, des ponts, des aqueducs, rebâtir l'infrastructure, bâtir le Colisée du peuple impérial sur la frontière Canada-États-Unienne pour le sport en perpétuité. On va bien sûr bâtir d'autres centrale d'Hydro-Québec, on va financer les gens à l'entraînement physique, on va financer les gens au tourisme, on va faire bien du bien commun. Fait que bien sûr, ce bien-là, on va le faire ensemble et bien sûr, on va se rajouter pour avoir ce point de convergence pour le faire ensemble. Fait que toute cette dette-là, public-privé, on va la faire ensemble. On va faire cette dette-là ensemble. Fait que tout ça ensemble. La TRD, on va financer les deux institutions de partenariat public-privé, soit l'armée du dragon, aussi connue comme la Légion du peuple de l'Amérique du Nord impériale pour la sécurité service défense totale, basé sur mes principes, les nouveaux protocoles de défense du dragon pour le collectif de l'Amérique du Nord de 9-1, ou les nouveaux protocoles de 9-1 du dragon, mais c'est des choses que j'avais écrites durant les années passées, là, que je dois faire de révision, puis ça fait partie intègre de mon rêve qui se manifeste comme le royaume de la déesse et du dragon qui danse, qui est fondamentalement un appel à un partenariat public-privé à travers le collectif de civilisation de l'Amérique du Nord. Donc ici, en étant le soleil, le pape qui est dégager les nuages, tu sais. Je veux dire qu'on est bien parti pour avancer. Fait que prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille. Et bien sûr, c'est rock'n'roll 24/24. Prêtez allégeance les gens ou des amis avec bénéfice seulement. Et c'est le rock'n'roll sur la montagne, le soleil, mon papa. Les mains dans les airs, soutenez la TRD pour la création de l'UI. Et bien de la gauche à droite, c'est travailleurs dans la province, oui. Travailleurs publics qui changent les aqueducs. Change les aqueducs, ça travaille avec un marteau, des ciseaux, du blanc, du savoir-faire, du lavage de la soeur, ça se lave. Québécois, Québécois, ensemble, on va pouvoir bouger les montagnes pour les 63, les 10 provinces, 50 États et 3 territoires. 3 territoires, 50 États et 10 provinces. On va pouvoir les faire dans ce point de milieu, dans ce point d'administration aujourd'hui qu'on est rendu. Et bien sûr ici, bâtir la maison du dragon. Écarlate rouge, rouge c'est bien sûr écarlate et le temple de la déesse oublié, mais c'est quelque chose que moi je veux bâtir, le temple de la déesse oublié. Prêtez allégeance les gens, vous êtes famille, rock'n'roll.